Hey everyone, welcome in to another daily editorial here on the KE Report. I'm getting an update from Graphene Manufacturing Group, otherwise known as GMG, on our site. We're going to be recapping recent news that includes a commercialization update for the THERMAL-XR, also an award that the company has won, another award for its products. Just as a reminder, GMG has really three product lines here: the THERMAL-XR, the battery division, and the graphene lubricants, all built around this proprietary process that the company has to manufacture graphene powder. I am chatting again with Craig Nicol, founder and CEO of Graphene Manufacturing Group. Company is traded GMG on the TSX Venture Exchange and GMGMF on the OTCQX. No, everyone, thank you again for sending me all of your questions. We'll get to a number of those questions at the tail end of this interview, but first things first, Craig, let's talk about the most recent news release, October 16th, the commercialization update for the THERMAL-XR. Give us a brief overview here of the key updates for this commercialization update, please.
Hey, Corey, great to be back on. And yes, there's a lot going on, and we aim to kind of get these updates as regularly and as fast as we can. There's certainly a lot to update you on since our last chat. ThermalXR technical and customer engagement is certainly going hand in hand to provide us more work, obviously revenue, but focused on getting the product tested by some very large manufacturers, both in the US and in China, who's obviously manufacturers of air conditioners. And so that's the first item, bring up. We've got enough aftermarket data now around the world to show that our coating does enhance heat transfer and also does really good at corrosion resistance. And it's impressive enough for these people to then start to think about, these manufacturers start to think about how they could do it on their factory floor, which is, a really big step for us. And there's a lot of different manufacturers testing right now. And so we help them to do that because some of the offerings that we do is still seen as a bit counterintuitive and how it can do what it does. So yeah, that's definitely one part of this release that, it's very exciting.
So let's talk about the different markets that the THERMAL-XR is being tested in. Everything from air conditioning market, that is, I believe, still the biggest focus. The HVAC market, LNG facilities, personal electronics, electricals. Give us a bit more of an understanding of where the company needs to focus, or which one of these markets is closest to generating some cash flow for the company.
Yeah, so we've got a number of manufacturers and air conditioners that have done kind of product testing and then looking at now how to go forward from that in different applications, which is really exciting. It's not just on the condensed cooler, other applications as well. Then we've got, some certainly data centers is coming up as another big opportunity that we're working through. The testing for the other type applications, certainly LNG producers, and then a manufacturer of electronics products. Companies have basically agreed that this does what they want it to do, shift heat out of their electronic products faster, and then looking at how do we get it into their factory. And then there's a burgeoning market around industrial electrical and automotive electrical, which is another market which has come up. Pretty much all of these opportunities are where we ship the coating, they do the testing, then they work out how it can work for them, and then come back to us and we help them with the next stage. So whilst it looks like there's lots of different sectors, they're all very similar in terms of the use of the coating. We offer them all the same similar features, which is we'll have a press release out shortly on how this coating actually works, which we've now pretty much cracked. And then we can share with them, how we can help them with their product. And once we understand their product drivers and what they're trying to do with their business.
So then, Craig, when is that next step taken? If all these companies and manufacturers are testing the product, when do they place a big order? What more needs to be done on GMG's side?
Yeah, we're constantly working in that mode. What do we need to do to get into some of these large sales deals? And that's something that we're working on heavily across, a number of companies. Typically, a company will need to show to their business that this extra, issues that they've got to work through, coding can actually improve their product. And then once they've done that, they then need to show how and work out for themselves how it can be put into their factories. And so that's the next stage. Then once that's happened, we can have very detailed, sales agreement conversations, and then talk about how that will roll out and be supplied. But generally, the coatings are going to be sprayed in, one or two factories per customer. So we have 1,000 litres shipped out, which does 10,000 square metres. One litre of ours does about 10 square metres of sheer metal plate. So 1,000 litres goes a long way. And, we've got the ability to make that, really quickly and as demand comes in. So there's both a product paradigm to change, because a lot of these guys are still thinking that the best thing for heat transfer is a sheer metal to air face, which we've now proven that's not the case. Our black coating is the best thing. And then the next thing is they've really got to get to work on how to get their company to put it on their products every day and at a cost that works for them. So yeah, we work through who's currently in the last phases of that manufacturing testing and who's, still at the pointy end, which is, just doing the initial product testing. And we have a range of companies in different sectors and different countries in that space.
So can you give us a ballpark number then of approximately how many, let's just call them large manufacturers, you're working with that are testing out the THERMAL-XR product?
Yeah, we've been working with more than 10 large global manufacturers and, global named businesses. Some of them I think you'd be quite surprised with, who we're working with. We can fundamentally change the way their product works. We just got to get them to understand what we do and how we do it with our coding. And, these guys, when, once they've actually worked that out, then the type of volumes that we think they'd be ready to commit to would be quite large, because, their products, would likely, almost all of them would likely need it for sheer energy efficiency or just product performance. So, I think that's probably might give you an idea, but there's new businesses coming in all the time as well through various different resources, networks and websites. And so it's not in any way standing still. And we just need to work with the leaders in the sectors to get them to realize this paradigm shift that we've been able to work through with our coding. And then we can then see, get those guys to push the code in their company and get it through to the final testing ground and into a sales document. So that's literally what we're doing on a daily basis.
All right, Craig, let's also address a question that comes in all the time for THERMAL-XR, and that is the EPA, the U.S. application to sell the product in the U.S. Any more information you can give us on the timeline for this new application you're submitting?
Yeah, so we said we'd have the new application in by the end of October, the end of this month. And we put in the press release that we think that's going to be okay. We should get it in before then. It is a very complicated application. We're going for pretty much an unlimited volume and use in many different ways of using the coding. So that all is part and parcel of growing. We've already got distributed deal in this space. So that revenue we believe will switch on once we get our EPA approval. And we think once we've submitted it, we should take about 12 months, but there's an expectation that certainly by our advisors that we have something that can actually help the environment and emissions, and therefore the EPA should actually fast track or put it on a 3-month timeline for approval. So there's a small chance that could happen, which would be obviously quite exciting because then we'd ship straight away. We have outstanding purchase orders from New Calgon, our distributor there in America. So, that would be quite exciting. And then we'd be working through the rollout of it throughout Canada, America, Mexico, and Caribbean, because all of their work is done in America. Now, that is obviously enabling us then to be able to ship to manufacturers and various other types of customers in America as well. So, we're kind of taking care of multiple opportunities there. And the work in the aftermarket sector, we believe strongly that will have great revenue opportunities. And obviously, there are many types of markets that distributor can actually ship to. So, data centers have been in the press a lot around how much power they're taking, especially for artificial intelligence data centers. And we've clearly shown that we can save energy for these. So, there's numerous applications and opportunities for us to be able to show to the EPA that we should be fast tracked, but that's in the end up to the EPA to work through. We just hope we've got enough good enough argument.
Hey, it's something I know I'm going to keep getting questions on, so all the updates are appreciated there. And yeah, hopefully the EPA does push it through quicker. One more question on THERMAL-XR. Do you have any data on the durability of it? If THERMAL-XR wears off, if it builds up layers, if it loses its properties over time? Any updates, any data you can share with us?
Yeah, we should come out shortly with an update on that. But right now, I think we've got 11,000 hours of salt sea spray, which is really long of just salt water being sprayed on it without any corrosion. And then, we've had the product in test in products, air conditioning, different types of environments for many years now. We warranty it for 5 years as a company, and we believe it does much longer than that. It's a one-time application, and it has the highest or the toughest scratch and adhesion testing that you can get. So in industry, there's lots of good data to show that it's really long lasting, really good at anti-corrosion, really good at scratch resistance, and really good adhesion. Basically, the best you can get from terms of industry standards. So if anything, it just proves just an amazing product on top of the heat transfer.
All right, well, let's move on to the next news release, October 15th. Just a quick comment here is that GMG was recognized for innovation by the Australian Financial Review. You are recognized as one of the most innovative companies in the manufacturing and consumer goods categories for 2024. Craig, what does this recognition, and this isn't the first time the company has been recognized by or for something like this, what does this do to help get the product out to potential consumers?
Yeah, it probably just makes it clear that we have a pretty innovative business that's made some pretty innovative world-leading products, and that they can be, in some way trusted, I guess. That there's been some kind of third-party stamp approval on what we do, even though it is what it is. It's innovation type competition. So, it is quite a prestigious recognition in Australia. And AFR, Australian Financial Review, is one of the leading kind of masthead a newspaper in the country and for business anyway. The fact is the team has provided the innovation, and that's the most important thing. The team will continue to have to innovate to continue to deliver. And, that's what we have done since, 8 years now. So I don't think there's anything but the team that deserves this recognition. The business is, just a whole bunch of people who are really trying hard every day to meet what customers need. And, I think this is good recognition of that.
All right, let's get into a couple other questions now into the battery division. Before I ask you these specific questions, what updates can you give us in terms of battery developments? Any testing updates? Any updates on the 1,000 milliamp battery? What can you tell us, Craig?
Yeah, so as per last press release, we're in this battery technology readiness level 4 stage, which is the electrochemical optimization. We are developing a completely new electrochemical battery cell from scratch, and it is such a simple battery, a very, very simple battery. But to make something simple, it is very difficult. And, just like it is very simple to make something difficult, you flip it around the other way. So we're very focused on getting the electrochemical optimization done as fast as we can. As we said in the last press release, we have these weekly sprints. We're still doing our weekly sprints. We have very senior, very experienced people in the battery industry working hard on helping us and bringing to bear some pretty good information and advice. we're obviously, co-developing this battery with Rio Tinto, and they're in there as well, helping us, and, can't praise them enough for their support. So, we've got some pretty amazing support. We've got a very focused team that've got everything they need to make it happen. I think we're getting through it, and I think I am optimistic about the future, about this, and keeping to our timelines. So, that's probably until we come out and have them third-party tested, which is one of your questions. We really can't say where it's at, because we've really got to bring it all together and say this is what it is. Our batteries are multi-dimensional, and we just don't want to go out and present more information on it without having all the dimensions worked out and able to be summarized.
Okay, so nothing you can tell us about the 1,000 milliamp per hour battery being tested, hey? Nothing we can get into there?
Not yet, but when there is, you'll be the first person that we'll be talking to.
Perfect. Thank you, Craig. Now, with that relationship with Rio Tinto, I want to circle back to another news release from Fortescue Metals. They announced a deal with a large truck manufacturer for their battery, a lithium-ion battery. Does this impact GMG's battery advancements at all?
Oh, no, we see it as a real positive move and step by the industry. There's an enormous amount of mining of materials that needs to get done to be able to provide the materials we want to get the batteries we want for this transition to happen. And it's going to take decades for it to happen. This deal by Fortescue Metals is very good to see that, that we have, mining recognizing that apart from, Rio Tinto, and BHP's publicly come out and said that too, that they really need to push the battery trucks. It is very difficult with lithium, and you can see the amount of trucks that they bought, and they're going to take about 30 minutes to be able to recharge. These are very sizable battery packs, by the way, probably about 20 times a normal Tesla battery. Yeah, so these aren't small battery packs. So to charge it in half an hour is still quite a good thing, but you typically take about 4 to 5 minutes to refuel a big truck that size with diesel. So, you've gone from 4 or 5 minutes out to 30 minutes, and that's a big change for miners and a lot of cost to bear. Whereas our aluminium-ion battery, will basically bring it back to where, you're charging for diesel, filling up with diesel about the same. So our charging these large trucks would seem more around the 4 to 5 minutes again. So we'd be about 6 times faster, obviously once we get there. And that's truly why, Rio Tinto, it's one of the main reasons why Rio Tinto is working with us, is because the cost of the batteries to charge them in these really high power modes and very high temperatures, is much higher than probably what they want to work with. So hence we're working on this much faster battery and much cooler under high temperatures, and why we're working with Rio Tinto on it.
So, Craig, what about what's been in the news a lot, these solid state batteries? Do these pose any risk to the graphene battery that you're dealing with?
I think there'll just be another type of battery that'll be out there. There'll be many different batteries that will come. I think we will generally be a very different type of value proposition. So no, I'm not concerned. From what I hear from different industry proponents, that the solid states are not going to be here tomorrow in large volumes, but they're still lithium, right? They're still part of the lithium value chain, and the cost for them will still be what they'll be. What we haven't really done much announcements around the cost of our product, of our battery, because we've got to work through that once we finalize all of the various different electrochemical components. But if you can imagine, we're literally the two most available materials, carbon and alumina in one battery. It doesn't take much to think that how much cheaper we'll be at scale. So that's the other thing that we'll come to, and we'll come together on shortly. But overall, I don't see that them actually fast charging, solid state batteries will be able to even replace our ability to, our fast charging nature is truly leading the pack. So, I think it's good to see that they'll come, because they'll help the transition in the overall movement and get more applications into batteries out of diesel and petrol. But there'll still be plenty of space for us.
All right, Craig, I know we're going to be chatting again in the next couple of weeks, so we can't get through all these questions. But one more question that I'm even curious about is that your relationship with Bosch Australia. Somebody sent me an email just simply asking, are you still collaborating? And if so, what is Bosch working towards? What do they want you to develop?
Yeah, thanks. So we're working with Bosch around the manufacturing of our battery, and we are collaborating with them, and they are supporting us in that game, in that focus. So the focus of the battery manufacturing, we've been working with them for some years now. We're working with them on the next phase. We've got some outstanding things to work through them on, and yes, we are.
All right, Craig, we'll wrap it up here. Everyone, thank you for sending me your questions. I have some more saved for the next time I chat with Craig. Please keep them coming. You can email me at fleck@kereport.com. I will post my email in the show notes. I'll also post a link to the GMG website so you can read over the recent news and follow up on all the things that Craig touched on here. Again, Craig Nicol, CEO of Graphene Manufacturing Group. Craig, thank you for the update today.
Thanks, Corey.